Hey everybody, before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that there was a little incident at the end where we kind of got cut off at the end because we had a little interruption, but I just want to let you know that we got most of the majority of the episode done. There wasn't an exact ending, but we said our final thoughts off air, but I just hope you enjoy the episode with the Bolestas.
Excited to be here to do
My
this.
name is Laura Foster.
Guitar player extraordinaire slash resident fun guy at Northside Baptist.
Trio Quinn. I'm actually Charlie's cousin. Little Baker.
Eddie Baines Blanton. I'm a junior at Lowndes High School.
Peterson. I'm a student at Lowndes High School.
Alright, welcome back to the podcast. I'm so glad to have you on today. Could you introduce yourselves and we'll just keep on going?
Good afternoon, I'm Eric Bolesta.
And I'm Jessica Bolesta.
And I'm so glad to have you guys on today. If you could just go into your testimonies and then we'll just go into questions.
Sure, so, talking about our testimonies, Charlie, for one, it's not something that we, always, we have that event, that special event that changes our lives. The testimony is something that, we continually have. It's God working in our lives all the time. And so, for myself, from growing up in church, so I don't have this spectacular event that happened, but the event that I will say is my family making sure that I was there. Mm-hmm. And so, myself saved at 12, 13 years old, and definitely can look back and see how God has worked in my life. And so an example of that is as any high schooler or college age person that wanted to do more possibly than what they should have at times, and God, looking back, made sure that I didn't get into too much trouble. And so there definitely was a time in my life where especially in the college years that I had lots of fun, but that's the perceived fun. Yeah, it's not the actual joy and happiness that Christ gives you. So I bring that up to say, don't fall victim to what the devil says is fun, what the world says is fun, because you actually get into the sin equals death, and so yes, it eventually equals the actual death of us, but for example, drinking, smoking, that's the easiest ones that we go to, as far as sin goes. You're killing yourself by doing those. You're taking time off of your life, and I definitely did some of that. Not the smoking, but definitely some drinking. But and I'm not proud of that. I'll be the first to say it. So I don't bring it up and to poke fun, but to use it as an example of wasn't wisdom, and I should have listened to more people during that time telling me not to do so. And I've been fortunate that so far God has let me outlive my sins. But and getting back to my testimony is that the world looks so attractive, and it's tough. It's tough, Myself and Jessica, we're still what I consider young adults. Maybe not so to some, but looking at our lives and the things that are thrown at you constantly, from our cell phones are the greatest and worst enemy that's ever been invented for us, and I'm thankful that I didn't have to deal with social media.
Yeah, be glad.
And many other people now.
Yeah, when you bring that up, it's a weird kind of double-edged sword, because it can be useful, and it also can be very, it can also be very bad, there's a good side and a bad side to pretty much anything, but especially that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so what really was a turning point for myself was having children. And I've said this before and given my testimony at another church one time, was that having children puts a new perspective on life. and it really shows you that the father to the son, the children. You really start to see what God was really meaning, or at least it was for me. You really start to see that relationship, and because for one, our children, they know how to do bad things. I didn't teach them how to do it, so it shows you that sin, that you're born with it, as Scripture states. But one of Jessica's first cousins would come and pick up our oldest daughter and take her to Wednesday night church. And so that really started to hit home for me, because I'm like, here I am professing to be a Christian, but yet I'm not doing the things that God commands me to do. I'm supposed to be the leader of my house, be that example for not only my wife, my children, and I'm not being that right now. And so at that point, it was like a light bulb. I'm like, okay. And Jessica agreed as well. She said, all right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna actually do this. You walk the walk and talk the talk. And so from that point forward has been where we started taking it serious. We moved it from fire insurance to we're actually going to do what we say, and also as the Bible asks us to do.
That's good. What about your testimony,
Mine, well, I won't get too long-winded with this, I hope, but I grew up in church, went to Sunday school, always felt, my church was kind of an older traditional church, felt it was more kind of geared to the grown-ups, and I didn't really understand the personal relationship with Jesus at a young age. I thought going to church was enough. I remember being curious around elementary, middle school about like being saved and baptized and about going like the invitation at the end of the service and what does that mean. And I remember sitting elementary, I was in elementary, and they were talking about baptism, and in my head I was like, well, do you have to get baptized to be saved? I remember very early thinking about that, but I never verbalized those questions, because I was a really shy kid, believe it or not. Sports really kind of got me out of the shyness a little bit. But, I regret thinking back to that, back when I was really curious, to not say anything. And I never, as a kid, never got specifically asked, are you saved? Are you baptized? Do you know what it means to have a relationship with Jesus? I just never got asked. So I never, move forward with that. And, that's just for me not just being shy. But then on into like middle school, you have speakers, which used to speakers could come in and talk Jesus in school, and they would pass out little tracts. Oh yeah. I think schools would be a much better place.
Young.
Yeah, we're young. We're young. So I remember getting sent home with little tracts and little New Testament Bibles, and it would it would tell you how to be saved and the steps to salvation, Romans Road to Salvation. And I remember at an early age praying, to be saved, but I never, went beyond just praying the prayer, and that was about it. And not really having an assurance in salvation. I didn't know, like, am I really saved? And I probably prayed that prayer 10 times, 11 times growing up, because I didn't know, like, am I really saved? I didn't understand that concept. And then when I was older, I started to understand the concept of believing and accepting, repenting, and but by that time I was so into the worldly stuff that it was hard to break free from that. So my freshman year in college, high school, college, we were making terrible decisions. Like Eric was talking about, like alcohol was involved in there, and it was just, there's nothing good comes out of alcohol or living any kind of worldly sin. It was just death and destruction follows. It's just not a good place to be in. And at that time, I knew I wanted Jesus. I knew I wanted more Jesus in my life, but I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like I needed to get things right before I, came to God. And my freshman year of college, I remember my teammate Ashley, she invited me to a Wednesday night Bible study, and she walked the walk, talked the talk. She was, that was the first time I saw somebody my age with a true relationship with Jesus and what it looked like. That was like her friend. It was an awesome thing. It wasn't, I mean, it was real. I knew it was real from meeting her. So, started going to her Wednesday night Bible studies in college and really learning so much and what it means to have that relationship. But like I said, I had one foot in the world, one foot in the Word, and you can't compromise with sin. Sin's gonna eventually take over, and it'll take you before you even realize it. It's gonna take you where, in places you don't even want to go. I had an uncle that he would quote. I forgot who he quoted, but sin will take you further than you want to go, keep you longer than you want to stay, and cost you more than you want to pay. And I mean that is so true. And then, like Eric said, when we started having kids, we just knew we needed to do better. So we started getting involved again, and I felt like I was saved. I was learning more. I was praying. But I felt like there was, that obedience to go get baptized. Like that was in between me. So I remember it was a spring in 2017. I had Alden was my second born. We have 4 now, but at the time I only had 2. So I had Alden in my arms, and I remember our preacher. We have a fairly new preacher. He was there for a few months, and I don't know. I forgot what he preached about. I just remember it was as soon as the invitation was given. I looked to my left, or looked to my right, looked to my left. Anyways, the closest person to me, I just shoved a baby in their arms. I knew I needed to get to the altar, and it was at that time that I fully surrendered to God, and I went to the preacher and I said, "It's me. Like I'm the one you were speaking to. I need to get things right. I need to get baptized. I'm here." And that was. And then from that point on, it doesn't mean things were perfect. I'm not perfect. I fail every day. You can ask Eric. But and it doesn't mean it's easy. But what you have the peace of God. You have your surety of salvation. Since that point, I haven't questioned, am I really saved? Am I really saved? I know it. I feel it. And then that just growing relationship with Jesus. So I didn't have that longing desire anymore. I had it. Like I didn't want it because I had it. Right. If you're sitting there eating a piece of cake, you don't want a piece of cake because you're eating a piece of cake. So I mean, it was. And then if you, if you're in a sinking ship, I mean, they're in just like a life of not being fully surrendered. I mean, you're in a sinking ship, and if you're in a sinking ship, you can't be outwardly focused because you're so worried about your sinking ship. So now that we have a more fully surrender, you can be more outwardly focused. And I don't know. I went from not feeling good enough to understanding that I'm not going to be good enough. But that's where Jesus comes into play. He covers our inadequacies. But he doesn't give us permission to live like we want. It's not fire insurance. So just because I have Jesus, I'm saved. I can sin how I want to sin. No, sin puts something in between you and that relationship with Jesus. So it's not a permission to I have Jesus, I can sin. It's no, I have Jesus, I don't want to sin. I don't want to do these things. Your want to's change. And I mean, he tells you repent and sin no more. I mean, and you're not going to. I mean, you're going to. I mean, we're going to fall short every day. But the goal is to do better, just to do better.
Right.
So that's kind of where we're at now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to say, too, that you're talking about sin. I had one person once say about you talked about having that true peace and salvation. Did you know you had that doubt before, and now you don't. And, sin gives you, it lets that doubt live in you, but you can't moderate sin. That's what a lot of people think, that, well, I can just, whatever it is, I can just do a little bit of it, or I can just tell this lie. It's not a big deal. But then you got to remember the lie that you told. Or whatever it is, you just can't moderate it. And so having that true state of repentance changes your life. It really, really does.
And I'll say this too. Let's think about this. But when I went forward, to like surrender, get baptized, there wasn't a whole lot of movement at that church. There wasn't a whole lot of movement at the altar. So it was intimidating. I mean, if, people were going every Sunday after Sunday, like we've seen here, like, it'd be easy to be like, me too. But at that point, it just wasn't, it was a smaller church. It just wasn't, the Holy Spirit wasn't as evident, if you will. So I was terrified to go forward. But I mean, once I did, I mean, it was awesome. Like my two brothers, in the next 2 weeks, I came to see my two brothers want to be saved and baptized. My sister-in-law, two cousins, his daddy, my father-in-law, his father. So in the next 2 weeks, I mean, there was just like a little mini revival. So it was a really cool thing to just see obedience. The harvest after obedience. It was incredible. It was a neat thing.
And the morning that my father got saved, and this is an important thing to remember too. He had the concept of I needed to get right to come to church, and that seems to be an idea that's like in this area as a whole. And I'm sure it's everywhere, but it just seems to be a lot of people have the idea. Well, I've got to get right to go to church, or I need to have a certain amount of money, or whatever. And it's the exact opposite. Jesus did everything but that. So, but the morning that, for one, we got him to come to church got our oldest one, daughter Ashton, to call him and say, we invite him to come to church, and then months later, he got baptized and saved. But the important thing, but the amazing thing was, telling the truth here, I was standing there at my seat, and the pastor was giving the altar call, and I was praying, Lord, just let one person go, and my dad will follow. I know he'll do it. Like, he won't do it, somebody needs to break that ice. And I forget who went first, but he was the next one down. And I'm telling you, that right there, that was heart shaking.
Yeah, I bet. That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. And neither of you can answer this, but how did you guys come to the Northside?
I guess I'll start with just a little bit, and you can just add as you want to, Jessica. So, we had just reached a point that we wanted something different. And what I mean by that is not that we needed a different God or a different Jesus. We knew who he was, and we just knew that there was more. That there was more than what we were doing and what we were getting. And we decided to reach out to some of our people that we knew and ask, where should we go? But I'll say our biggest focus was our kids. What is mine and Jessica's jobs? Well, if we could make the decision for their salvation, we would do that, obviously. But we don't get that luxury. They have to make that decision. But it is our jobs to make sure that they know. That they know, and they know, and they know, and they know, and they know.
Right.
That's our job. And so I wanted, and Jessica wanted, them to be exposed to as much as Jesus as possible. And that's why we started making this search. It was, where do we go? Where do we go? And I'll let you finish.
In that search, I'm a planner. Like I came in here with a notebook. I like notes. I'm a planner. So.
And you see, I'm all here.
So, we started making a list of churches, of places where we knew we wanted to try out, and Northside just happened to be number one on the list. It was highly recommended.
Yeah, one of our previous pastors, this is his exact words. He said, "You'll get what you need at that church."
And we came. We needed healing at that time, spiritual healing. We were just felt beat up, and we needed refuge, if you will. But Northside was number one on our list, and we knew if we were going to go, we wanted to go to every service. We wanted to go to Sunday night, Wednesday night, Sunday morning, Sunday night. We just wanted to make sure, we wanted to see what it was all about. We wanted to go to Sunday school, life groups here. And after that first Sunday, we didn't even look at the list anymore. We kind of knew after the first service, like, this is where we want to be, but we had some questions. Because it's very... that's a big decision to go to what church, what preacher do you want you and your kids to sit under. And you want to make sure that they're teaching the Bible and what the Bible says and what what the Bible really says and not what they think it says. And we had some questions, and we would write down those questions, and literally every Sunday after Sunday for the next few weeks, Brother Robbie was like answering the questions from the pulpit, and we're like, we know it, we know this is where we need to be. And so we did. We went and had lunch with Pastor Robbie and Miss Laura just to kind of get to know them, and before we really committed and said this is where we want to place membership with.
Man, I should have done that. Oh,
and,
why didn't I?
But we at that point, we were at church, for a couple of months, and he answered all the questions we had in our head from the pulpit, so we felt home right away. Walking into the preschool department, and that's probably our first impression. Walking in the church, and the second place we went was the preschool department, and Miss Judy, and her smiling face.
Love Miss Judy.
She was awesome, awesome to our kids. She loves those kids, and she really, I don't know. You can just tell that she loves the kids, and teaching those kids, and that's what we were looking for. We were looking for a church that's going to pour into our kids like we want them poured into, and we found it. We found it here at Northside.
Yeah, and I remember looking on our ride home, I told Jessica, after the first Sunday morning service coming here, I said, that's the real deal there.
Right. And I hadn't been there that long from when you guys came. Do you remember what the date was?
Yeah, I do. It was the Georgia-Florida weekend. Yeah, the Sunday after Georgia-Florida.
So you got probably Pastor Robbie going like,
yeah,
how about them dogs? And you got in.
Yeah, pretty much. And Eric's a Georgia fan, so, he didn't fit in right away. Or, I'm sorry, Eric's a Florida fan, sitting here with a bunch of Georgia fans, but it's all in good fun, too.
Yeah.
But I just want to add too that if you've not experienced it before, so for example, if you're just coming into Northside and you see what it is, and all churches evolve, they go up, down, sideways, that kind of thing.
Because you got a bunch of
or knock
people
down some walls, for example, upstairs.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Anytime you get a bunch of people, we're all sinners, and you get people together, you're gonna have disagreements and this and that, because it's not a perfect world. But
absolutely. And what I was gonna say was that you walk through those doors, and you walk to the kids' department, youth, college, seniors.
Doesn't matter where.
It doesn't matter where. God's here. And then that is an amazing thing to witness. Because if you've not witnessed God being somewhere, it really makes you appreciate when God's somewhere. It really
and
does.
I do. Sometimes I wish, I wish I would have found this place sooner.
Yeah, I've said that too.
Yeah, but then I don't think I would have appreciated it as much. And if you don't have it and then you have it, you just appreciate it so much more. So it's good to be home.
And since joining, we talked about how important our kids were.
In a year,
or just over a year, both our oldest children have been saved and
Yay!
baptized.
Yes.
So, that's the greatest thing.
affirmation.
For me.
And your most recent was on Christmas Eve, right?
Yeah, Christmas Eve.
That's
Christmas
right.
Eve.
Yep, that's what I thought.
Yeah, Father's Day.
Nice. It's on a
One's
holiday.
on Father's Day,
Yeah.
one on Christmas
I mean, I
Eve.
was saved on Easter.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just that feeling,
Well, I got baptized on Mother's Day, so you can't.
Well,
you
hey.
can't be that.
Yeah. For sure, for me, I can't imagine going anywhere else because this is my first church I've gone to. It's like, I don't know what I would do if I, it's like, where else would I go?
Just take it from us. Stay here.
Yeah. Stay here. Don't leave. And I think we're over 1,000 members now. I don't know what the exact number is.
Yeah, I think Robbie had mentioned 1,800 was the members.
Yeah.
But
I mean, which is
over
crazy.
1,000 coming every Sunday.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
which is
amazing.
yeah. So this was kind of a question that I'm just kind of maybe just really curious about. So do you guys own Raising Cane, or do you have do you just help with it? Like, what do you do with it? Like,
So Eric will say that's my job. That's my wife's business. I work there for free. Like, that's what Eric says. But that going through college, trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up, graduating with a degree in athletic training. Not a whole lot of professional sports teams in South Georgia. Found out I wanted to live in South Georgia and not move away, so I had to find something to do. So I started working on my family's farm and realized that very quickly wasn't what I was going to do. I wasn't going to have an office job. So long story short, I knew we wanted to open up a market and just research some ideas. And so I graduated college in 2012. 2013, we opened Raising Cane. It took me about a year planning. After I graduated college, it took me a year planning, and we opened it. And we just celebrated 10 years of being open there. So yeah, that's
the amount of field trips I've taken there.
I know.
So many field trips.
Well, and we did. So that's something. That's a God thing too. So we started out. First day one, we had our first field trip. I mean, we were opening the store and field trips at the same day.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I'm crazy. That was. I remember that day, October 3rd, 2013. I remember that day. But we had our first field trip. A store was open, new cash registers running. It was all a mess. It was a mess. But you couldn't tell from the outside. It looked like it was smooth, but from the back end, it was a mess.
In your head, you were like, "Oh my word, I'm gonna scream my head off."
I know it was, and that was at a point where I wasn't fully leaning on God at the beginning. And looking back now, from the time that that full surrender happened, it's so much more peaceful. Life is so much more peaceful. But yeah, we made the decision after I had number 3, Ava, that we were going to stop doing the farm tours and really focus on the store, kind of step back, because I felt like I was working two full-time jobs doing that. So we really stepped back, and I was nervous that extra income from the field trips we were going to have to close, because I knew the numbers, and I knew that there's no way that it was going to work. And I feel like it's God. God has provided and just made it so much, more than I could have ever dreamed it could be. From just being obedient to putting that effort into my family, and I mean it's like He's taking care of the rest. So we're extremely blessed with that opportunity for sure.
And I'll tell you, when I went to because I went to when you had the haunted corn maze.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. So I don't know what possessed my mom to push me to go through that thing, but I was tiny. I was little, and so. And she had just had some type of surgery or something, and she's not even supposed to be running.
Yeah. But
there was one part, and there was the ending part that just scared me to death, and I left her in that maze. I left her in it. I was like, I am gone.
Oh man.
I am out. And oh my gosh, that wasn't that was some serious stuff. It scared me when I was little. I was like, I ain't going back in there. If they do it again, I'm not going back in there. My mom would always joke. She's like, hey, they're doing it again. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for my next question, I was wanting to know, in y'all's opinion, what is the key to having a healthy marriage, in your opinion?
Where do you want to start?
Well, wherever you want to start.
Here's the first thing: you can be right or you can be happy.
Compromise is what he's saying. Compromise. You want to say all the cliche, don't go to bed angry and this and that. Just you take divorce off the table. That's not even a conversation.
Right.
I think it's so easy to say, "Oh, I don't like you. We're getting divorced." I mean, it's not a lifetime bond. I mean, or that's what today's society will tell you is if you don't like somebody, just divorce them and marry somebody else. And obviously there's different circumstances in different marriages. I can't speak for everybody's marriage, but for ours, we took divorce. That word, that's not even a word you can throw in an argument. Like, that's off the table.
Yeah, it's a nutty word. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Throw some change in the jar if that's ever said.
Yeah, exactly. So that's I think that's probably really helped us not even having that as an option. Mm-hmm. Yeah, do we go to bed angry sometimes? We do. But
well, one of the things, and me and you've talked about it more than once, but Pastor Robbie's preached about it, and Josh has, and I think just about everyone here has to some degree. But we had it put to us one time. You have God first in your life. Okay, so that's both husband and wife. God first. I don't put my wife first. There are people that do that. I put my spouse first. Well, God's first, and then my spouse. But view it as like a triangle. So both of you have God first, and here you are on each end. But the closer that both of you get to God,
the points meet. Yeah,
exactly. So your relationship will get better if you're both pointing to God. If you're not, then you get farther apart.
That's going to be a jacked up triangle.
Like trapezoids and all this other kind of stuff.
That's good. I like that.
But it's that I can tell you, and I know that sounds somewhat cliche-ish to make that statement, but it is by far the most accurate thing that I can give you if you want advice, and the most powerful. Put God first in your life.
And seek godly counsel. So I've had friends who have gotten divorced or had relationship problems, and they're seeking counsel from yes men and people that are like, oh yeah, get rid of them.
That's who we go to.
You go and you seek counsel from your friends, but make sure the advice you're getting is godly advice. And,
I got friends that'll tell me straight up, like no or yeah. They're like,
yeah, and you need those.
Then that's a good friend.
Yeah, like I've got my friend Baines. He's sometimes a bit forward with stuff. He's like, no, he's like, yeah, do it. And I'm like, okay. Like you're like my, it's like if I need something like to clarify, like he's like, you're my guy. That's what I go to for that.
Oh yeah.
But do you have anything else to add on that?
I was gonna look up real quick. I like music, and I like my music loud. That is for sure.
Yeah.
And so, I'm that person at the red light that's usually jamming. But my taste in music has since changed. At one time, it was not very good music. But talking about godly advice, Andy Mineo,
Christian rapper.
And his song, Friends, is what it's entitled. But in one of the lyrics says, and I'm glad that you said what you said, Charlie, because he states, he goes, if you knew I was bugging and you stayed quiet. And he's talking, and the whole premise of the song is really you're not a friend if you're not actually there to tell me when I'm doing wrong and tell me when I'm doing right.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Just reiterating, seek the proper advice.
Yeah.
Not just somebody who's going to agree with what you want them to say.
Speaking of Christian rap, I've had a few Christian rappers on this podcast before.
Have you?
They're like, they're kind of a smaller one, and that's what's kind of just getting them out. But, definitely send some songs over, I bet, because they're really good.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll have to check them out.
Yeah. So now we're going to go into youth questions, and, this can be general. This can be our youth group. Tie whatever you want into it. But when you look at the youth today, do you see hope, or are you worried about the future? It doesn't matter the order you go in here.
Well, I'll say the first thing that I worry about myself, but youth specifically, is disinformation. And what I mean by that is you can take your phone, you can turn your TV on, you can find whatever you want it to say on there. And that's God included, Scripture as well, that has been twisted in ideas that have been infiltrated by the devil. And spiritual warfare it's real. It is very, very real. And remember, the devil is the prince of this world. This world. So he knows how to play the game, and he is excellent at it. And I saw a little bit or meme or whatever you want to call it. It said, but it really spoke home to me. It says, it's talking about that the devil, he knows what to do in this world. So you don't need to do things to try and help him do his job. Because he's already really good at it.
Yeah.
So don't
really
do
good.
things to help him. And I was like, that's good. Gossiping, whatever it may be, don't do things to help him. Do things to help God.
Right. That's really good.
But I'm also encouraged. I mean, seeing the team. What did you say? 180 people.
183 kids are coming to the now this weekend.
And that's powerful.
See, that's awesome. I mean, I feel, and then I have a guy that works with me. He's a youth pastor, and I mean, his youth group is just exploding in a small town. I mean, he had 80 something kids in a small town. I mean, that was awesome.
That's crazy
to see. And I think kids are wanting better, wanting something. I think they're seeking something, and we need to catch them. I say we as the church, Christians, need to catch these kids before the world catches them, because the world's catching them younger and younger. Right. And you need to fight that disinformation with truth, and they need to know it at a young age.
Right. And you bring up D now and all the kids that are going to be there. I think that's also a testament to God, but also what God does through the youth group that we have here. I mean, because we are, say, hey, invite. We have all these kids coming, friends, and maybe just strangers coming because they may not have a church home. This might be their first time coming to a D-Nail, or, maybe they've gone to D-Nails before, but not like Northside's. Not like, not with 883. And I know that's just Northside kids. I know there's going to be kids from other churches, too. They're going to, I think, Mikey's church from, First Baptist Bay City, he's bringing his youth group over. And so we're going to have over 200 kids in the room. And I'm like, there's going to be so many people. I'm not going to keep it straight.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I don't know if there's any other churches, but I know that one for sure.
Right.
I'm hoping there's more. Because I know that Noah at one point, he was trying to get this is a very ambitious goal, but, it's Noah we're talking about. So he said 10 other churches. I'm like, man. You want to pack this sanctuary till it explodes.
I don't know. I feel like if anybody can do it, like Noah and y'all's youth group, I mean, y'all are, once you put God in the front, I mean, he can take you further than you can even imagine. So.
And, I've discussed it with other people in my youth group, and that Noah's got that. He knows, what we're facing because he just came out of it. He understands, cause, a lot of the stuff that he's facing now as a college student, he still faced back when he was a high schooler or a middle schooler or whatever. And so he gets it, and so he, really knows how to gear his sermons to where they're interesting, but he keeps it simple to where you're not like, what did he say? Yeah. Because some people can get so technical with it, and I'm like, hold on, we gotta dumb this down a little bit in English, because I don't know what you just said.
Absolutely.
It's like when I'm in British literature class, I'm like, what and why am I learning this, or what did you say? Right. But when, we young people, like we've said, face a lot of struggles in today's world, especially with social media, things like that. If, somebody like my age or anybody really walked up to one of you guys and said, I'm struggling to navigate this world in a biblical way, what would you tell them? What advice would you give? Yeah, this makes people think. Yeah. This question usually makes people think.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
You want the answer is, obviously God's word. And, if you can think of it, there's a scenario in the Bible that's going to give you, get you that answer. But, just really strip it down and, at the end of the day, what's right and what's wrong. And don't fall victim to what's popular and
that's a big one
what everybody's doing. Surround yourselves with those godly people that's gonna build you up. Because the world's so quick to tear you down, and to that sinful lifestyle looks shiny and fun and new. And I had a friend once tell me, well, if sin looks fun and looks good, because if it wasn't, people wouldn't do it. So just seek that godly counsel. If you don't understand it, find somebody that does.
Love it, 100%.
And I would add too that whatever your situation may be, whatever, one, you should pray about it. Prayer is by far your most powerful thing that you have, and do it. Because if you do it, God will answer. It may be a no, it may be a yes, or a not now, but He will answer it, and it'll be on His time, not yours, which oftentimes frustrates us.
Right.
But my life is riddled with things that I've prayed about, and God has answered them on His time. And the reason why I say that it may not be as big of a deal as you think it may be is, one, I can look back within my life and things that were really big deals that I thought were really big deals turned out to be not really too big a deal.
That's one thing I'll say, and I know that other people in my generation do it too. We make like the biggest deals out of stuff that is so small, and it's just minute. It's like, oh my gosh, I didn't, this is not me, but this is an example. Like, somebody didn't get my coffee right this morning, like, and well, hey, be thankful you got a coffee, but that's a big thing for sure. Is for people like, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and I want to add too is that Jessica, actually, I think it was you that told me, or made this illustration. You hear the thing that well, God will only give you what you can handle. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yes, that's right. God will give you what you can handle, but He'll do the rest. So there may be a daunting task in front of you. It may be a daunting problem.
Compared to what He's going to do. Yeah.
But exactly. But what's in front of you is what you can handle, but God will do the rest. And put in your trust in knowing that, and that you don't have to try and solve that problem yourself, whatever it may be, or even solving a question. If you'll turn to God, He'll answer it, and it'll be the right answer. He will affirm it to you. And I would also, in a sense of encouragement, is that whatever thing you're going to go through, positive or negative, it'll only allow you to witness to other people. So all your trials and your positives, those things only make your testimony that much stronger. And so I used to tell the youth that I used to teach, my parents were divorced for myself at a young age. Well, you can't talk to me about divorce if your parents have never been divorced.
Right.
Like you can't talk to me about it because you don't know. So those experiences, don't let them be crutches for you. Use them for the positive that God wants you to.
Yeah. And I'm looking back, and I just realized I skipped a question by accident. But to go back to, you guys teach a life group together, right? So
well, he does.
Yeah. Okay. So
myself and Tommy.
Right.
Ford.
So what is that experience like for you to teach a life group?
I love it. I enjoy teaching. It's just I would like to say that our life group, the dynamic there, it's a conversation. So a lecture, if you want to call it. We talk about things. It's not just ourselves standing up there going through the Word. It's actual. We talk about actual real life things that the Scriptures talking about. And so we have a great life group, an awesome life group, because people are willing to share about things that are going on in their life,
right?
And that's the relationship. It affirms that it's real. It's real.
And the funny thing, I remember, cause I remember how they had to change the signs up on each room. I remember during the summer, me and Noah did those, and I was like, and I remember seeing your name now. I was like, I remember seeing all those names. I'm like, and now I think a few of them have changed even more because of the youth wing. I'm like,
right.
Oh my word, we should have just waited till you built the youth wing to type all those names up there.
That's a good problem.
Yeah. But from my final question, if you could describe Northside in one word, what would it be, and why?
Man, one word?
Mine is simple, and it's going to be the cliche answer: God. It's God.
Yep.
And the reason why I say that, I go back to what we talked about earlier, is that we jokingly said, Northside's so good, even God goes to church there. But
he's in the people.
Exactly what Jessica's saying. He's here. He's dwelling within each person that's here, and those that aren't, they're coming to salvation.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what the number was last year. It was like 150 something.
Right. I know that. Well, I've got the number for VBS. I know it was like 46. And that was crazy. A crazy number in itself. I mean, because that's younger kids too.
Absolutely.
Getting to participate on the other side of that too was fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that's what it is for me.
Mm-hmm.
It is being involved. Keyword: involved in a church that puts God first and not something else.
That's good.
Yeah, and it's easy to get involved in not putting God first. But I will challenge you, or not challenge. Well, I will say challenge.
Okay.
And encourage
Mm-hmm.
that if you're not involved in a church, to come to Northside. But if you're involved in or not involved in Northside, to get involved. It may look like
there's a small little niche. No.
Exactly. Like the church doesn't need your help. It needs your help. It'll always need your help.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it may be. There's room for you here to do something. And I just can't stress that enough. Mm-hmm. Because if you visit, it's like, wow, they've got it really put together. And we do. But your help is
But they don't realize how much goes on the it's like, all week. They're not just work, like Pastor Ivy said, they don't just work on Sundays.
Exactly.
They're working all days of the week, And it was really cool to see during the summer for me. But if you had to describe one, Northside one word, what would you think that would be, Miss Jessica?
I'm gonna cheat and go use his answer. So, I mean, it's you can definitely tell it's a God-led church. Mm-hmm. You can tell the pastors are letting God speak through them and seeking His counsel and not trying to build their fame and not trying to. It's not a church that's worshiping a man. It's Jesus. It's really exalting Jesus, exalting God in everything they do. So I mean, it's definitely evident. Yeah. So genuine. I mean, that's another good word. I mean, it's very genuine.
And when I've answered this question myself, I always said family for me, because I mean the amount of people that I've met, variety of ages. I mean, I know everybody from from the youth all the way to like some of the people in the senior suite. Like, it's crazy. And that's probably because of me being in the choir and everything. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, and there's some people, they say hi to me and I'm like, who is that? Like, it's crazy. People might know you, but you don't know them. But you still feel that, that, I guess in a way, that small church feel, in a way that, you feel like everybody's connected in that way. To where if you ask somebody, hey, I need your help with something, they'll be there.
Absolutely.
To help
I'm
you.
glad that you said that word, family, Charlie, because, in one of our life group lessons here not too long ago, we were talking about family, and it's a tough thing to really think about, but me and Jessica talked about it. A lot of times your church family, and I would say, is more important than your actual family. Mm-hmm.
And not like your wife and kids, but like just your
Right. We're not talking about walk away from your family. That's not what we're saying here. But they'll be the ones that's there to support you, and you know that you're getting the right advice and not just something that's someone's opinion.
Right.
Hopefully it's godly advice that you're getting from your church family.
Yeah.
And I'll add, you made the comment, Charlie, about that. You can just feel it. Random people like, hey, I need that. You're Charlie Banks. Hey, Charlie. I have no idea who that is.
Who is that? Yeah. Right.
And we experienced that too, but I will say, it's what you make it here. If you show up and leave, then that's what you'll get. Mm-hmm. But if you'll get involved, it's amazing. Yeah. But whenever we talked about coming to your first time coming to Northside, I counted the weeks, Charlie. It was 6 weeks in a row. 6. I did not know these people. They certainly did not know us. But I had someone walk up to me for 6 weeks in a row after we were walking out, and all different people, and said, I'm glad you're here today.
With another episode of the Young Minds Podcast coming to a close, I just want to remind you that you are never alone and faith is action. So let's get out there.